Alright, let's look at this chart right here I got in front of me. And you can see, as I explained in one video, let's make a chart that goes from A to G to the right and A to G down. And then we start filling in the gaps, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Now, we do all that with just the letters first. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, F, G, A, B, C, okay? Go all the way across. That you'll get your foundation chart right there. Now let's look at how this chart's designed. C, as you can see here, does not have any sharps or flats in it at all. This C is all natural. When you look at the circle of fifths at the very top, it's at the 12 o'clock. It doesn't have any sharps or flats. We base everything off of the key of C. Okay, how many sharps? How does it deviate? How far does it go away from C? Okay, like G only has one sharp. So it's just one click away. Then two sharps and three and four. So it's farther away from C. In the same way as you're going toward the flats. F has one flat and goes down toward the bottom. Okay, so we look at C. C does not have any sharps or flats. So when you play on a keyboard, it's all white keys. But let's call the circle of fifths. So we're going to use this chart to also relate back to the circle of fifths. So if we look at this chart here, we see that C is number 1, and we count, we'll see that G is number 5. So we take G here at the very bottom, and we'll see that G has one sharp. Now, if you notice on the 7th, I'll call it my magic column, because if you notice, everything's got a sharp now, except for C. C doesn't get bothered at all, but everything else has a sharp. Now, if we look at the F sharp line, E sharp is there, but anybody knows if you sharpen E, you're just going to go straight to F. There's no E sharp. Okay, so that's the reason why I've got the F parentheses. Okay, so this chart here, it also defines a circle of fifths. So if you have both the circle of fifths, as I explained earlier, and this one, you pretty much know a lot about music that you probably didn't know before. Let's look at the key of G. This is the standard tuning for banjos without a capo, open G. Okay, now how does these chords work within the key? We see, if you read sheet music, this is only going to have one hashtag symbol or one tic-tac-toe sign, what we call it in music, the sharp sign, sharp symbol. So if we look at the key of G, we notice there's only one sharp, and that's on the 7, that's on the F. What 3 chords do we generally play, and why? Well, we play the 1, 4, and 5 rule. Think about it. Even every instructor you go to, Banjo Ben also talks about the 1, 4, 5. A lot of people out there talk about 1, 4, 5. That's what they call the Nashville chord system, Nashville chord chart. Okay, 1, 4, 5. So if you're going to play in a band and you say, what's the chords? They say 1, 4, 5. Okay, you automatically know. For example, if it's in the key of G, it's going to be G, C, and D. If it's in the key of A, it'd be A, D, and E. Okay, so whatever key then they're playing, they're going 1, 4, 5. Okay, so we look at this chart, we can see what the 1, 4, 5 is. Now, each chord, each major chord is made up of 3 notes. There's a lot of 3s in music. So we look at the music overall, it's a lot of religious symbolism. There's 7 major keys, 3 major chords, and 3 major notes within each major chord. So the key of G, the G chord itself, all the major chords have 3 notes, and that's 1, 3, 5. So if you look at, say, if I want to know if I want to play a G chord, what are my 3 notes? Well, let's look at here. G is 1, B is 3, and D is 5. So the G chord has G, B, and D notes to it. Simple. So what about the C chord? Well, we look up here to C, we can see C, E, and G. So the C chord has C, E, and G. The D chord, is my 5th, has D, F sharp, and A. So if we put those 3 together, G, C, and D, we'll have the major scale that's in the key of G. Look, G, B, D, C, E, G, D, F sharp, A. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, all there, F sharp. Now, what does it mean by transposing and modulating? Well, transposing is if you're taking a song that's in one key. Let's say, for example, I've seen in the song books, I Fly Away is written in the key of B flat. Well, I could play B flat on the banjo by putting the capo on the 3rd fret and play it, but what if I want to play it in G? How would I do that in G? Well, you got to look at the three chords, 1, 4, 5. In B flat, you got B, C, D, E flat, and F. B, E flat, and F. So if I'm going to look at the 1, 4, 5 and say, okay, I want to transpose that to G, 1, 4, 5 will be G, C, and D. Or whatever key you want to transpose it to. So you just look at the 1, 4, 5. So whatever chord they have written on the original music, you transpose it. You change that. Say if it's an A, you want it to G. Then you say, well, okay, every time I have an A chord, it's a G chord. Every time I have a D chord, it's a C chord. Every time I have an E chord, it's a D chord. You just think about where you're coming from, each chord you're playing, and where you're going to. Now, let's say, for example, if something's written in the key of A, you know your banjo's in G. How do I do that? I'm looking at A, D, and E, and I was like, okay, I don't know where my A chord's at. I don't know where my D chord's at. When you put a capo on the 2nd fret, you're playing, when you strum a banjo with a capo on the 2nd fret, you're playing A open because of the capo. So now you think, okay, but I'm playing a G open, like it would be open banjo. It's a G pattern. So how would I make a D? Well, again, you think about it. If I'm playing A, D, and E, with the capo, you'd be playing G, C, and D. Okay, very simple. So in order to transpose one song to another, where are you coming from and where you're going to on each chord you're playing. So if you're going to add 2 or subtract 2 or whatever it is from the original one, then you're going to do it for all the other remainder chords. Very, very simple, very easy. Now, you can get them to, like saying, and you think about this too, when you look at the circle of fifths, each one of them, G has an F sharp. D has an F and a C sharp. So you look at the chord, the note before that. So when you look at, go down, eat breakfast first, go down and eat breakfast first. G, the note before that on the scale, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that's the first note. F is the first one that's sharpened. So the letter before G, F, gets sharpened. Go down, you bring F all the way down with you. Bring F all the way down with you. So the next one has D. The letter before D is C. Now, so the key of D has F and C notes sharpened. Bring the D all the way down. A. The letter before A is G. So you bring G all the way down. And you keep doing that, and you have every one of your sharps will show you exactly what notes are sharpened in it by simply just going down the line. Now, if we look at here on this chart here too, all the 6th chords are the minors. Those are the minor chords. So you can be playing with no sharps or flats at all. You're looking at the sheet music, and there's no sharps or flats, and you wonder, well, it looks like it's C major. Let's take, for example, the song Ghost Riders in the Sky. Everybody's heard of that one. It's played in the minor key. Now, Johnny Cash plays it B flat minor. Sons of the Pioneers play it E minor. It's still a minor key. Now, a minor key is just basically saying I'm using the same configuration, the same. It's in the same scale. It's in the same sharps and flats as the major, but I'm using one note difference. Okay, so there's one note difference. There's really only one note difference between a G major and an E minor. Only one note difference. A G major doesn't have an E note. Okay, it has the D note. The E minor has an E note, not the D note. So you're substituting the D for the E. That's it. Okay, on one major, on the majors and minors. So this is to kind of give you an idea on how you can transpose music from one key to another by looking at the 1, 4, 5.